really good to meet you, and I'm excited to hear a little bit about your background in Safe Connections and kind of your plans for 2021.
Sure thing. Thanks. We really appreciate. We're honored and humbled that you would ask us to share about Safe Connections and our look to the future. So thank you.
Yeah. So I wanted to know a little bit about the different types of programming that Safe Connections is working on. I'm sure that this past year with COVID has thrown some things up in the air, but how are you guys managing? How is 2020? Yeah, you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Well, sure thing. A bit about Safe Connections history or founding, which is really a cool grassroots story. Actually, back in 1976, three social work students from Washington University, recognizing that there was nothing available in terms of supporting those who were surviving domestic and sexual violence, took it upon themselves to take action and actually set up a telephone in an apartment. And that was Safe Connections' first 24-hour crisis helpline. And a real goosebump moment is that we still today have that same number since 1976 for our 24-hour crisis helpline. So Safe Connections was founded in 1976 as Women's Self-Help Center. So I'm going to fast forward to about 2007, 2008. We changed our name from a gendered name to Safe Connections. One is because we really needed to take a look at our communications, our marketing, our presence, our brand, our logoing, all of that type of thing, because we believe that everyone deserves to be safe and healthy in the relationship. So that means everyone. So we wanted to intentionally be non-gendered in our organization's moniker, and that's how Safe Connections really was born, because Safe Connections work is to prevent and to end domestic and sexual violence, and we believe that because everyone deserves to be safe in their relationship, we wanted to be inclusive of gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, and gender in our work. So today, Safe Connections proudly serves everyone. Where we started serving female identified or women only, we proudly now serve everyone, inclusive of the groups that I just mentioned. So we provide our work in three different ways. Through prevention education with our youngsters in middle school through college. The second way is through therapy and support groups. And I have already talked about the third way, and that is our 24-hour crisis helpline. And all of our services and programs are provided free of charge.
Wow, that's incredible. And such a long history to be providing that, kind of pretty groundbreaking in the region, I think, for that.
Absolutely, there was no organization. There were no shelters. Any kind of support for those surviving domestic or sexual violence was kind of underground support, where it were private homes. People would take people in private homes to safety and to support. So in the 70s, there really were no organizations doing the work that Safe Connections now does.
Yeah. So how do people find Safe Connections, either from the client side or from the donor side?
Sure. Well, Safe Connections serves about 20,000 people every year. And those numbers will, to getting back to your first question, will be slightly different for 2020 because of the pandemic. But people know us from social media, from our networking and our relationships with other nonprofits who refer to us. We are part of the United Way Safety Net organization network. So 211s, United Way's 211 will refer people to us. Folks we serve will refer people to us. Uh, Opportunities like what you're providing today, Haley, will create greater awareness so that people who are either in crisis or not in crisis and know someone in crisis will know about Safe Connections as a resource. So there are all sorts of ways that we get the word out about Safe Connections being here as a free, accessible resource for everyone.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about your programs with schools and with youngsters? Um,
Sure.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, do you have ongoing relationships with the public schools, or is it kind of people call you when they want? How does that work? And what do you
Well,
provide?
we have relationships. We're really excited. I mean, prevention. If we can get this, if we can eliminate domestic and sexual violence, on the upstream, then we can just put ourselves right out of business, and that's really our goal. So, getting to our youngsters, our middle schoolers, our high schoolers, and our college students through our Safe Connections on Campus programs. Um, that is provided through our ongoing relationships with schools that we've been working with for years and years and years, as well as referrals. Because we're in one school district, there are superintendents meetings, there are relationships that school counselors have with other schools and other districts. So the word gets spread that way. And our work with youngsters is both kind of session based or module based, where we go in perhaps through the high school health curricula, or as a school counselor could bring us in as part of an assembly, or there's all sorts of ways that we can come in and talk about bystander intervention, talk about technology and relationships, talk about supporting survivors, talk about teen dating violence. 75% of kids say that no adult has ever talked with them about a safe relationship and what a healthy relationship is. So there's a grand need for us to be in with our kids. Um, and it's not only with schools. We also work with alternative sites, alternative schools, with other youth serving organizations, with residential um, organizations that have youth living there. We work with the correctional system. So anywhere there are kids, we do our best to build relationships there so that we can get our programs and services into those kids where
Wow,
they are.
that's awesome. You mentioned like technology and relationships. How have you seen kind of the needs of the community shift over Safe Connections lifetime, or what is that looking like now?
Yeah, that has been something that is emerging and constantly changing. And part of our work around uh, technology and healthy relationship really has to do with uh, what are what are the pros and cons of being involved as a young person, which actually applies to adulthood, right, uh, as well.
Mhm.
That this is that what is in through your apps and through your social media platforms, that information remains for a lifetime. I mean that's not ever going to go away. And helping kids understand the red flags of predators, helping young people understand what kind of information is safe to post and not safe to post. Also, part of teen dating violence, domestic violence, intimate partner violence is power and control. So we offer red flags, for example, just really briefly. I could talk for hours, obviously. Um, does your partner constant, require you, quote, or keep pressuring you for your passwords so they can access your account to make sure that you're not, like, dating someone else or talking with someone else or spending time with someone else, or they can kind of track your movements. So letting kids know that there are some real red flags around technology that they need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, So let's see. So going into this coming year, are there any overall goals, any kind of new areas that you're examining or exploring, launching programming, anything like that for this year?
Yeah, sure. We have been developing an elementary version of our prevention education programming that We've tried to pilot, and actually the pandemic has interrupted that because now our curricula begins at middle school, and we want to get to our little itty bitties in an appropriate way to really start early around healthy relationships, what they are and what they're not. So we're excited about that. We're also excited going into the future that we, um, by the time this airs, or I don't want to date this necessarily, we we either will have or we already have a text feature on our crisis helpline, which is really key because with the pandemic and the impact on us has been enormous, and the impact on survivors has been enormous, in that if you were on lockdown with your abuser, your access to safety, your access to privacy, your access to resources um, was has been and potentially still is very, very limited to find space to reach out for help. And now with so much remote work, the abuser may still be in the home, but working remotely. So having a text feature will have a silent way for survivors to reach out to us. And we're really excited about that. Um, and of course, we're going to continue to develop and fine tune our teletherapy, telehealth work that we transitioned immediately. I mean, we were prepped to pilot that when the pandemic um, came, and we skipped right the whole pilot thing and went right to doing it. So we are nimble, and we're nimble as part of our culture because we want to make sure that we are changing, evolving, and transitioning to best meet the needs of our of our clients, our callers, and our kids.
It's great that you're able to kind of pivot, and I'm sure having the crisis helpline already, you have people who are used to kind of dealing over the phone and have that experience to help work that into the online format. Yeah. So with ReVitalize, we think that to have a strong community, you really have to have success in at least 4 different areas, which we categorize as, having education, having economic opportunities, having access to arts and culture, and then of course having a safe environment. And so the reason that I wanted to highlight Safe Connections is that, without having a safe environment, you cannot really thrive in all the other ways, so you cannot reach your potential in all of these other ways. So just exposing people to the different community safety, that Safe Connections can provide, I think is really important to share to the broader community.
Absolutely. I mean, those are 4 wonderful pillars because they're distinct and they're intersectional. And again, I mean, we are really honored that you um, asked us to be part of this because more folks need to know that there are resources available, and our 24-hour crisis helpline is always available, uh, 24 hours every day of the week. And I just would like to kind of underscore, if I could, that it's not only for folks who are in crisis, it's also for folks who know someone, love someone, work with someone, someone's neighbor that they're worried about, and they want to know how to help them safely, because it's not always safe just to to go on in. Uh, there are strategies and techniques, etc., where everyone can be safe in that situation. So
Absolutely. And I would also say that, like, anyone who is around children, all children can use this education. It should be an essential part. So those programs that you offer for free, that's an incredible resource, I think, for communities.
right. Well, part of domestic violence, in addition to domestic or uh, the physical part, the mental part, the psychological part, technology, is also financial. where the abuser exerts power and control by controlling the finances. So that is one of the many reasons why we are barrier free. We don't charge for our programs and services. We don't want a survivor to have to answer to their abuser as to, you know, where this money went. Um, Barrier free,
That's
safe
great.
connections.
Yeah. So what are some of the most high impact ways that people in the community who want to support Safe Connections in this work, how can they help you?
Well, go to our website, safeconnections.org. We have lots of ways to help listed on our website. Of course, I would be remiss if being the CEO, if I didn't say financial support is always so valuable, because that allows us to serve those 20,000 people a year. Also, there are opportunities to volunteer. We also have an amazing, extraordinary young professionals group that is so inspiring and makes such an impact on Safe Connections work through networking, through awareness, through fundraising events. That's another way to get connected. Um, Sharing that, hey, you saw this interview with someone, and they were talking about Safe Connections, and Safe Connections is a cost-free place where folks can go for services. So you doing this is literally changing and saving lives, because more people will know about our crisis helpline, about our therapy, about our prevention education with our kids. So our gratitude to you, Haley, for making this possible for us. And literally, people know me, I'm not a drama person. Uh, this will change and save lives. It's it's that true.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap this up?
Well, again, I've shared my gratitude, and we'll do that again with you, and really welcome people to we'll continue to be in very challenging times, and even when we get back to being able to be together, people know people who are in domestic violence or intimate partner violence situations, or suspect that they are worried about that they are. Call us. We can help you navigate what to do safely. And our work is not only for folks who are surviving domestic violence, intimate partner violence, also sexual violence. So we are a dual organization around domestic violence and sexual violence. So call us, let us know how we can help, and it'll be at no cost.